Hey everyone, I'm here with Sheila today in the front garden, and we want to talk today about native plants, introducing native plants into our garden. And Sheila's been working on that for the last couple of years, so she's going to take us through it.
Okay, so on our front bench here, what I have laid out is these sticks here, popsicle sticks, represent plants that I put in that are native last year and this year. And there's two sticks over here, one of which the birds planted, and this black snake root I've had in for many years in our front garden, which is native. So basically you can see the extent in the front of all the changes that I'm trying to make in the garden.
Okay, Sheila, what's the publication over here?
So this was a publication that was given to me from the Toronto Plant Market and Native Plant Supply in Etobicoke on Bering Avenue, and I just as a recommendation from the Tattooed Gardener, I walked or drove over to them earlier this spring, and they helped me select some plants for our garden, and they gave me this publication, which is really helpful in Ontario to help understand what we don't want to have in the garden and what we would have instead. So this is put out by, it's called Grow Me Instead, and it's from 2020, and I've really found this terrific. Now I do want to say our garden is never going to be 100% native, but we are moving towards making positive changes in it. So we'll walk you through some of the changes we have. We also have a mix of non-natives in the garden. You'll find these in nurseries, these kind of plant identifiers. One of the ways I start to look is if I can see the word native, that helps me recognize I'm going to be buying a plant that's native to our area here in Ontario. And so you can see here I have the butterfly weed that I picked up. It has the native, and I have also the world milkweed, which is also a native plant. So that helps guarantee that I'm going to be putting something in that's native. Sometimes you'll see the word nativar, and that isn't 100% native, so it's a kind of an affiliate of a native. I don't know the answer to that. I'm a work in progress, but I just know if I see native, I know it should be a native plant for our area, and I feel good about that. But I have bought some nativars as well because I like how they look in the garden.
Well, why don't you gather up the sticks and we'll go find some plants.
Okay, we're going to start with the spiked blazing star, and I have a lot of them in the garden. They're really terrific. I'm going to come over here, and there's one in bloom that we can see. Maybe we'll find something on it. Here it is here, and I don't see any bee on it right now, but and it's got a lot of little shoots, and this creates a nice sort of height in the garden. It's great in a planter, but it's also a native plant.
Okay, so this one is growing in a planter.
This one currently is in a planter, but I can transplant it in the fall. And I have two more over here that haven't yet bloomed. Right? So they're coming up in planters. And I have lots in the backyard. Okay?
Okay, so we're using these sticks that Sheila has made to help us identify and find these again in the garden.
Right. Okay, so the next one we have is the spotted Joe Pye weed. And I've got, a few years ago, I put in a Joe Pye weed in the backyard, but we've never had one in the front. So this went in last fall. And this is what it looks like currently. It's July, and this is the plant here. And we should get lots of butterfly action around the spotted Joe Pye weed later on. And I'm going to put this stick into the ground here. We can see we got quite a few blooms about to happen. This will get quite tall. So this is over 4.5 feet right now, and this could get even taller. It may need a bit of staking as we get some wind out front. So put that into the ground here. Spotted Joe Pye weed is in the ground. The next addition to our garden under our lovely old honey locust tree in the front is the wild blue indigo. And I put this in last year. It has already bloomed. It blooms in early spring and it's beautiful indigo color. And I'm going to put it in. This is what it looks like currently in July. It's finished blooming and the seed pods have all come off. I have another plant that's more mature. We might be able to still find a seed pod.
They're very exotic.
They are lovely. They're beautiful. And this should grow quite tall. I'll put the stick in. Here. Wow, let it go. There. So that's about 1 year old from when I bought it. And it's doing quite well. It wintered over very, very well.
And you don't have any problems with the tree roots from the honey locust interfering with these native plants?
No, it seems to do good under the semi-shade. And we're going to see a bee in action right over here gathering some pollen. Oh, he just took off from our fleabane, which is the next one we'll look at. He's just left. The next plant we'll stake is the annual fleabane. This is not one that I purchased. This would have been delivered by a bird or the wind. And it seems to like the front of our garden. We have a little bit in the backyard and it's doing well again under this big locust tree that's about 40 years old.
So Sheila, I knew that this was fleabane because from identifying wild fleabane on nature walks, but this is a little bit different than the one that I see wild, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see the bee on it there.
Yeah.
Lovely bee getting its pollen.
So this one's an annual,
this
right?
This is the annual, and from what I can identify, the leaves are a little bit, you can see there's a little bit of an edge on it. And from my identification, and again, I'm a rookie, so I could be wrong. Anyone watching who knows better, please let us know. We can follow this bee over here. He's enjoying our fleabane and pollinating as it's going through here.
So it's grown quite tall in 1 year, hasn't it?
It's doing, yes, and again, this would have been planted by the birds and it's self-seeding. So I'm just going to stake this here. There's a lot of it, but it gives us a sense of it's a native plant. Hi, so this is, I think it's the seaside buttercup. I could be wrong. I did get this at the Toronto Plant Market in the Native Plant Center in the spring, and it was blooming a lovely yellow kind. It's like a yellow buttercup. And when I looked it up, we're going to go down below. It's really petite. You can see, if we go, it's down by the fleabane here. Here's one where we can see some of the flower. Okay, and I'm gonna say, I think it's the seaside buttercup. If anyone knows any better, let's look at these leaves. These leaves to me look like seaside buttercup. And if we just move a little to the right, here's an easier to see kind of specimen. It doesn't have the flowers left anymore. I bought 3 of them. So they've only been in for a few months. I'm gonna call it that. But again, if viewers know this is some other type of native buttercup, please let me know. And when I'm at the plant center again, I will recheck this. But for today on the internet, this is what I could find for the kind of leaf of this native buttercup. And it's very, very lovely, and I have 3 of them in our front garden, and it's doing quite well under the shade. And
okay, what's next?
okay, so next, a spring blooming plant, which is no longer in bloom, but we'll see what it looks like right now. It's struggling a bit in the front. It's done really well in my backyard, or our backyard, but we'll have a look at what it looks like in the front. It's the spotted wild geranium. So it's just going to be over here to the right by where we park the cars on the driveway. So I think this is the spotted wild geranium. You can see it's a little stressed, this leaf for sure. I've been trying to give it some water. A native plant typically won't need a lot of water, but just to get it established, there we go, we're in.
Here's a native plant that I put into the garden. It was one of the first, and it's a service berry or Saskatoon berry, and you can see it's just loaded with berries. We've picked a couple of times already, and the robins have been totally enjoying it. This is a super berry for edible berries, and it's become an anchor plant here in the front garden.
So I have a few more examples of nursery identification that you might find when you're looking for native plants. So the one on the left, remember I said I was looking for the word native? It says a false sunflower heliopsis, and then it's got the variations Scabra bleeding hearts. This, at the nursery, I went through checking on my phone whether this would be considered a variation of a native plant for putting into the garden, because it doesn't help me with any notation of being native on this one. On the other hand, this very clearly is stating Ontario natives, our native plants.
They're marketing it for native
They're
plants.
They're marketing it. So this is something I would find like at Canadian Tire, not necessarily a standard nursery. And this is one that I did put in this year, the prairie coneflower. And this is one we'll look at that I put in last year, the false sunflower heliopsis, variations Scabra bleeding hearts. So let's have a look and we'll stake how they look so far.
Okay, lead the way.
Okay. So the first one we'll do is the one that I planted last year, the false heliopsis. I'm going to put them both back in, just in case my stick doesn't make it. And we're going to take our time because there's a lot of height challenges here for the camera. But I'm going to make my way back here. And this is it back here. It's in front of something that's not native, okay, called feverfew, that is pretty aggressive in our front garden. And
it's an herb, right?
Yes, but it's not a good herb for your digestion. From what I can understand, it can be pretty rough on you. The birds brought in the feverfew. So here we go. This is the false sunflower here, about 1 year in. This will bloom later in the fall, and we're getting a few sort of flowery things. They almost call it like an oxeye daisy, but it's very pretty with this dark green purpley foliage. But it hasn't really got very aggressive. I guess it's because it's under a tree. So I'm going to put both of these stakes in here. I'll put the row one first, sort of bury it down there, and then I'll stick that in there. The other one we're looking to stake this morning is the black-eyed Susans that aren't yet in bloom. We have variations that are in the front garden, but this one that we're going to stake right now is not.
So they're the Redbeckia?
Redbeckia, yeah. There you go. So this is the one that's coming, and the flowers are yet to really come out, but I will...
But these will flower quite aggressively once they get going.
In
right?
the fall. Yeah. Okay. So there we are. Okay, so we're going to now put in the stake for the prairie coneflower. This is such a little tender flower tucked way in the back underneath the tree. Again, I put this in maybe about 2 months ago. So it's still taking root and it's tucked behind all this leafing. So I'm going to just make my way past in here. If you want to come around, it's in here under this sort of area here. So we'll put our stakes in.
Is it these dark red blooms?
Yes,
Yes.
this is the prairie coneflower.
Oh, they're
Very
beautiful.
tender and
yeah,
lovely.
lovely.
Right? Yep. Okay. So those are. So we've got 2 more stakes to put in. These are new to this year, but I do want to take a walk over to see this orange plant, which is the butterfly weed. One that I put in the garden maybe 15 years ago. So you're going to see the difference from one of these plants around 15 years old versus one that I just put in this month. So if we just take a quick walk, we'll see the old butterfly weed. This is it here, and you can see it. It's like a driveway garden kind of. We've just put it in. It really holds up to. Doesn't matter if the snow's coming off and we're snow shoveling. It's hardy, and the butterflies love this. So we're in Etobicoke near the lake. Great support for the monarch butterflies, and that's about 15 years old.
Okay, now take us to the new one. Yeah.
So the new one's along the sidewalk and then up our garden path. Oh, let's just stop here and see pollinator in action here.
And what is this plant? This is planted by the birds, right?
Yeah, I think it's called like a scabia, and it would be like a weed plant. I do kind of like it for its variation of height, and the pollinators seem to enjoy it. It is pretty aggressive, but it's just, for the most part, stayed in our front garden.
Yeah, it adds some nice height and gangliness to the garden.
It's a bit spunky.
Okay, so I can see now the butterfly weed over here.
So this is about a 1-month-old plant, which we're going to, the butterfly weed here, and we're going to stake it. And you can see it. Now this plant in a nursery right now in 2025, plant like this size, maybe about $14, $15. I think when I bought the other one, it was maybe $4 or $5. 15 years ago, and we just, you can see the difference. Prices have shot up with plants and that, but it's nice. We're trying to support our butterflies, and so I'm happy to add something on this side. And it loves the sun. And then right beside it, we've got this new one, the world milkweed. So over to the right, I put that in.
I guess it's world or world?
Yeah. Can you get that there? The world's milkweed. And you can see how lacy this is compared to, this almost goldenrod next door neighbor thing. So the world milkweed, I'll put this in, sort of bury it in here as well. And then we have our butterfly weed over here with some daffodil things that I have to put away. We'll do that later. Okay. Yeah. So one of the ones that we planted a long time ago is called a black snake root. It's going to be difficult for me to get in to put the stake in, but I do want to show you because these are really cool plants. Be careful as you back up. We have a planter here. So I'm going to just tread carefully here. This is it here.
Okay, let's see if I can get a shot of it. Here we go.
This is it. Okay. And you can see the lovely leaf formation, how beautiful that is.
Let's see if I can get in on the leaves.
Yeah.
There we go.
And these are old poppies, and they're curling around the poppies here, and some old lilies. But down in here, it's a great big plant. It's been here for many, many years underneath the tree and the serviceberry. So I will just put a reminder of what this is down below. I'm going to show you some golden alexanders. I have planted quite a few of these. We'll see them as we share our native plant changes in the garden. Currently we're on the side of the house. It doesn't get sun for the whole day, but it is kind of fun. And these are nice sort of meadow flowers. And here they are here. You can see they grow they're pretty hip height now, but out in the wild they can grow 6 feet tall. And they have these when they start blooming, they'll be golden yellow. Here's one blooming. You can see it's sort of that sort of, okay, there's one blooming now under my hand. And these will all start to go they're still young, but they will start to go nice bright yellow, almost like dill, but they're a thicker stem. You can really feel it. It's very, very thick in here. And so this is the golden alexanders, and I've got lots. You'll see them in the backyard as well when we do more backyard work. Just want to show everybody, I don't have a stake for this one today, but this is a native.
By stake you mean label?
Yeah, a label. But this is one of our native coneflowers and echinacea for Ontario area, and it's doing really well. And don't really have any bee on it right now, but we will have lots more to come. There's quite a few little ones coming ahead, we can see another, look at that insect, a little tiny bee inside this one that I'm holding. I don't know if you can see him crawling around the center.
I'll see if I can get in.
There is a tiny bee in there, and black-eyed Susan. So we'll stake more of these down the way.
Okay, so that's the selection of native plants we're featuring for today. We're going to do another one of these videos in the coming weeks where we can see the progress of some of these plants, and we can feature some other ones that we have popping up here and there in the garden. So big thanks to Sheila for making the effort to figure out what everything is and how they grow and where they are, and showing our audience. That's really great. And if you're enjoying these videos, we'd appreciate it if you take a second and power slam that subscribe button.
Hey, just on closing, you'll see more of our garden as we go through it, as things are starting to mature in the fall and in late summer. But I'm definitely a rookie at changing over things from non-native to native. We're doing our best. If you do see something and I've mislabeled it, please help us out and let us know, because this is the beginning of some changes to help our pollinators, and every little change that you guys understand that we need to correct in terms of a name, we're happy to do so. Thank you. So we love your comments and any other suggestions you may have for.
Yep. And if you've had experience with some of these plants in your garden, let us know how they've grown for you. Have they been a success? Or if there's other ones that you'd like to recommend for us, we'd really appreciate it. And we're going to try to make this a little series throughout the summer.
Enjoy your gardening. Bye, everybody.